Hi, my name is Kerry Brooks. I'm with Mortgage Express. We're a mortgage brokerage firm in California. And today I wanted to discuss something that I think is very confusing to a lot of consumers, particularly concerning mortgage brokers. I recently had a client that called me. She was purchasing a home, had been talking to a lender, a bank, and wanted to compare my rate and my closing costs. And so I gave her, the breakdown of things. I was, I think, something like 0.25% less on the interest rate, and actually my closing costs were less. But I know it's confusing, and for her it definitely was confusing because she emailed me back later and said that she had decided to go ahead and go with the bank because my closing costs were too high. Now, what she didn't know, or at least I don't think she knew, is that mortgage brokers have to disclose differently than banks. This is under a new law that started April of 2011. And I brought up here something called a fees worksheet. This is something that we do internally, and basically whoever you're dealing with a bank or with a mortgage broker or mortgage banker, they'll have something like this they're doing behind the scenes where they put in all their cost to give you a good faith estimate. This isn't the good faith estimate, but the numbers for the good faith estimate come off of this. So by the way, if you're comparing a couple of different firms, I recommend going ahead and asking them if they'll give you a copy of their fees worksheet so you can see a breakdown of these things. Now I'll show you the difference between what would happen with a mortgage bank or mortgage banker or a bank and a mortgage broker. As a mortgage broker, I have to separate out my compensation right here on this line. And so in this case, for a $272,500 loan, we're being compensated $34.06 for that loan, and this is what we charge for a margin is 1 1/4. And so with whatever lender we're going to, this is no matter what the size of the loan, this is what we get paid. Now there'll be some other fees that will be typical with mortgage bankers and brokers, such as, in this case there's an administrative fee of $6.95. You'll see some variation with these, and sometimes they'll call them different things like underwriting fee or doc fee or whatever, but it's additional money that's going to the lender. In this case it's $6.95. This can go anywhere from I think I've seen it as low with lenders I deal with like $650 up to like $1,100. So there can be a big difference here. And also if your broker charges a separate processing fee, it would also be in here. We don't do that, but some will have a processing fee in here as well. And so right in this section is really what is going to be the big variation between lenders. The difference is with a broker, I have to now separate out what the lender is paying toward these costs. And so in this case, the lender is actually paying 2.017%, so they're paying $5,496 toward these closing costs. And that's the part that gets a little tricky, because if it's a mortgage bank, they net these out, and so instead of putting $34.06 up here, they would have like a negative $2,000, roughly between these two. It's the same thing. It's just for a mortgage broker, you have to do the math instead of them doing it for you. A lot of people get confused with this, and they'll leave out this number, which is what I think my client did, in looking at closing costs. And so she goes, "Oh man, your closing costs are way high," not taking into consideration, what you're getting back from the lender to pay those closing costs. And so that's something you want to really watch out for when you're comparing particularly mortgage bankers or banks with a mortgage broker. You might end up a lot better off, like in this case, we're paying about $2,000 toward the client's closing costs, which almost pays for everything in this particular case. So they almost end up with no closing costs when they get all done, but it may not look like it, at first glance if you don't take this number into consideration. So hopefully this is helpful when you're comparing different lenders, and don't make the mistake that my client did of taking the wrong lender. If you have any questions or would like to discuss your particulars, give me a call. My number is 800-272-6688. I'm extension 101. My website is killerrates.net, and my email is Cary, Cary, @killerrates.net. Thanks a lot for listening. Wish you the best.